Hello, good afternoon. This is Adolph Meza, and this is my presentation here for the UDL instructional plan project that we had for this semester in EDAT 524. This is Adolph Meza, and I'm presenting my instructional plan. And my research and my project was with my partner, Ms. Karen Gowan. I observed her and observed two students that had some learning disabilities, and they, let me just get started with my presentation here and explain how it went and everything. So here's a list of the table of contents, some of the learner characteristic needs, as well as what I observed in the lesson, some UDL observations that I observed, as well as the UDL design plan that I would influence, and at the same time a reflection of my experience here. Okay, so getting started. During my observation, I noticed how the unit itself was on soccer, and my partner Karen, she basically taught the passing drills, the 5 skill elements on how to execute a proper pass. So we had two students, one named Pierce, and the other student named Anaya. And both of them had very similar characteristics of learning issues that they may have experienced, but at the same time, one was a little had more behavioral issues than the other. Starting off with Pierce, he's an interesting student because you see he's very smart when he's engaged and motivated with the activity or the lesson, but when it comes to things that are just not to his interest, he basically completely shuts down. He becomes very hostile and impulsive, and disagrees with the teacher all the time. So with him, those are some of his issues, that he lacks motivation. He gets distracted very quickly, and his comprehension skills, if he's not interested, he won't pick it up, and he won't even bother trying. With Anaya, she's very talented, very athletic. Her problem, though, is that she doesn't know how to explain her information in words, so she doesn't use her cognitive side that much. So that was something that we wanted to work on a little bit more during PE, especially during our closure. So what I observed is, again, the students were passing, we're going through a passing drill with the instructor providing a step-by-step instructions on how to execute it, and with the help of some learning visual aids, as well as what I suggested was using Coach's Eye to help out with their assessment process. And as you can see, there's a picture here on the left-hand side. It looks like it might have reversed there, but a student using the Coach's Eye to view the student executing the pass, and then analyzing what they did. It was actually a great way, especially with Pierce. He found this to be a little bit motivating, as well as Anaya, but at the end, Pierce really was not interested as much as what we hoped he would, because due to the lack of motivation that he was receiving, as well as being engaged with the activity. So during my UDL observations, I did notice that Ms. Gowan provided a little bit of background knowledge. Ask the students if they've ever if they've ever seen a soccer game, if they've ever seen how passing takes place, and work like that. So a lot of the students were very engaged with that. Some other UDLs that I noticed was they providing options for executive function, guiding and appropriate goal setting. Again, some of these students, being second graders, they did not understand how to use their inside of their foot, so some of them were using their laces, and that was fine. Again, Karen actually allowed them to use, make up a measurable, their own reasonable goal, so they can get up to the measurable goal. Pierce had some troubles with this because he kept on still towing or using his laces, but Anaya had a great lesson where she actually did begin to pick it up and was able to facilitate it very well. So what I would do, my UDL design plan, I would basically come up with certain measurable goals for each student. Basically ask them what they could do to reach the measurable, second grade measurable goal for reaching these, using these skill elements. I broke down some of the weaknesses and strengths of both Anaya and Pierce. Again, both students are very They're very talented in the sense when they're engaged and motivated, but when they're not, they can lack some learning issues, such as explaining in their words what they've learned and how they can execute it. So especially with Anaya, she does suffer a little bit with this. Again, some of my measurable learning that I use the rubric, which is attached on my report, as well as my coach's eye, some visual aids, and one-on-one demonstration with the teacher evaluation so that they can get that one-on-one experience. Some UDL strategies I would influence, definitely the multiple means of representation. I did also provide the engagement as well as actions and expression, which I included on my paper. But here I did put in that visual aid as well as activating background knowledge and basically influencing the student and make sure that they feel comfortable with what they're doing, so that we can have a successful lesson is, I believe, key, especially with these two students. And lastly, with my reflection here, again, I felt that with both Anaya and Pierce, by putting these UDL checkpoints down the road, this is going to help them big time. As a PE teacher observing this, I noticed that a lot of students, they do suffer, especially they go through a lot of difficulties in their learning process. And I believe if UDL strategies and checkpoints and these guidelines are influenced with each one of these students, they could have a successful educational career. So again, it was a wonderful experience. My partner and I took in a lot of information, as well as realized that using these UDL guidelines can definitely benefit not just these students, but all of our students that may be going through issues like this. Again, I had a wonderful experience with this observation, and thank you for checking out my video.